Today, we're going to take a look at one thing the great Eric Clapton did to make his solos sound so legendary. And I'm going to show you how you can apply it to your own soloing. This one thing that Clapton did with his soloing is something that every guitar player can benefit from. And it's to take one scale and then add notes from other scales into that scale to make one super scale. And with that super scale, you can use that as your go-to anytime you're taking a solo and you know what sounds you're gonna get and how to make them sound good. So let's take, for example, the minor pentatonic scale. I'm gonna have us do it in the key of D here, right? So we're starting on the 10th fret of the low E string, and then it's the 13th fret, and then we're doing 10, 12 on the A string, 10, 12 on the D string, 10, 12 on G, 10, 13 on B, and then 10, 13 on high E. So that's the D minor pentatonic scale. Now we're going to add some additional notes that Clapton liked to use. So when we're playing through the D minor pentatonic scale, he liked to use that flat 5, also known as the blue note, which in this case is the 11th fret of the A string. And moving up the scale, we're going to add an additional note, which is the 11th fret on the G string, which is a major third, and that's kind of how you can apply major notes to a minor pentatonic scale. So we would play the 10th, 11th, and 12th fret on the G string. Then an additional note is the 12th fret on the B string. He would play. Right, so instead of playing 10 to 13, we're doing 10, 12, 13. And then he would do the same thing on the high E string, 10, 12, 13. So those additional notes, which are commonly used in the Dorian mode or even in the minor scale, like particularly this note here. So they're just notes pulled from different scales that are all kind of thrown in to turn the pentatonic scale into an epic super scale that I like to call the Claptatonic Scale. So here's the full Claptatonic Scale. We're going to start, again, just like we're doing D minor pentatonic, 10th fret on low E, then 13, then we're going to do 10, 11, 12 on A, 10, 12 on D, and then 10, 11, 12 on G, 10, 12, 13 on B, and 10, 12, 13 on high E. For most of us, when we're just starting with learning how to solo or how to improvise, we tend to ask ourselves, what scale should I use? Or how many scales should I learn to be able to start doing this? The truth is, we just got to look at the people who blazed the trail for us as guitar players, Eric Clapton being a prime example. And now he would just combine, his most commonly used scale, which is the pentatonic scale, the minor pentatonic scale, and he would add those additional notes that are borrowed from other scales, but they fit perfectly in the pentatonic box, and you can get all kinds of different interesting sounds with it. So at the beginning of the video, I played 3 Clapton-esque licks using that Claptatonic scale, and I'm going to break them down for you and show you how to play them right now. But first, I got to give you a quick tone tip, because if we're going to be emulating the great Eric Clapton, we got to be doing the woman tone thing, am I right? So I'm set to the bridge pickup, and I'm going to take the tone control on my guitar, bring it all the way down to 0, so you get that warm, muffled woman tone. And without further ado, let's get into these licks. Here's lick number 1. So what's happening here is starting on the 10th fret of the D string, we're going to hammer on from the 10th fret to the 12th fret. And then we're going to play 10 again. Then moving down to the A string, we're going to play 12, 11, and 10. Then moving to the low E string, we're going to play 13, and then 10. And then finally, we're going to play the 12th fret of the D string for that upper octave note. So here's the lick slow. And here it is at tempo. And there's lick number 1. Lick number 2 ventures further up the Claptatonic scale, and it goes like this. So what we're doing here is starting on the 12th fret of the G string. We're doing a full step bend, so we're bending from the pitch of the 12th fret here to the 14th fret, right? But we're not holding it for too long. We're doing that bend and then kind of like choking the string to mute the note. Then we're going to play the 10th fret on the B string, and then the 13th fret. Then we're going to play 12 on G, and then from here we're going to play 10 on G, and then quickly hammer onto the 11th fret to play that major third. All right, and then our third finger is going to reach over to the 12th fret of the D string, and then roll over to the 12th fret on the A string. So here's the lick one more time slow. And here it is at tempo. Finally, lick number 3 takes it to the highest point of the scale and makes good use of those remaining additional notes in the scale. So it goes like this. So we start with, just like in lick number 2, the 12th fret of the G string. We do a full step bend, and then our first finger is going to grab the 10th fret on the B and the high E strings. You know, classic solo, pentatonic solo move. All right, then we're going to go to the 13th fret with our third finger or your pinky, up to you really. I know Clapton liked to use his third finger in parts like this, so it's totally up to you, whatever you decide to use. Either one is correct, although I will say that if you don't use your pinky as much as your other fingers, it definitely does you some good to put that pinky to work, right? So if you want, you can try your pinky on the 13th fret, and then you play that, and then the 12th fret, and then you're going to do a quick hammer on and pull off between 10 and 12. All right. Then you're going to play the 13th fret of the B string, then 10th fret on high E, then you're going to walk down to the 13th fret on the B string again, and then you're going to play the 12th fret, then you're going to do another hammer on and pull off between 10 and 12 on the B string, and then you're going to play 12th fret on G, and then 10th fret on the B string, and then roll your first finger above to the G string to play the 10th fret there, and give it a slight blues bend, also known as a quarter step bend. It's just the slightest bend, right? You don't want to go too hard with it to where you're doing that, just slightly, and then just end it right there. So here's the lick, nice and slow. And here it is at tempo. And those are your 3 starting licks using the Claptatonic scale. Now, if you need to revisit any of these licks, just go back in the video and rewatch them as many times as it takes till you get it down. But of course, this is just the beginning. Now that you know the actual Claptatonic scale pattern, you can really start creating your own licks using those additional notes. Having those additional notes really gives you a bunch of new possible ideas with how you solo and how you improvise. So I want this lesson to be just the start in you taking this secret and applying it to your own soloing. So you just learned a powerful new scale to add to your repertoire that emulates the work of one of the greatest guitar players that ever lived, plus some badass licks to go along with it. Now imagine being able to take what you learned today and apply it to every single musical key that you can think of. That's why I am gifting you with this free guitar cheat sheet. This has shown thousands of guitar players how to instantly solo in every single musical key. Imagine applying what you learned today to something like this. It's going to be bananas. So be sure to click here to claim your copy or check the link in the description box. And if you enjoyed this lesson, be sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to check out our other relevant lessons right over here. I want to thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. I'm Eddie with Guitar Mastering Method, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.